The ability to generate new ideas and products is an important measure of our region's competitive advantage. An environment of innovation encourages startups, expansions, and attracts leading-edge businesses from outside the area. The result? New, higher-wage jobs for our area residents. Our region's innovative activity has actually improved since 2005, but it continues to lag behind the U.S. and comparative metro and needs attention, as you can see on this chart. As you can also see, Austin and Raleigh's performance are literally off this chart. If you see off to the right bottom, you can see why they were chosen, not necessarily for our community to be them. None of us, I think, want that, but I think it's important to learn from some of these communities with incredible indicators in these performance areas where we're trying to improve. The relatively small amount of venture capital and patent activity conducted here account for Charleston's lag. However, Charleston has a significantly higher amount of National Institute of Health funding than all other metros except Lexington, and a higher increase in the number of jobs in information technology, science, and engineering. Venture capital investment critical to our region's innovation growth virtually did not exist here at all in 2005. As you can see in the chart, by 2011, Charleston averaged $36.60 in venture capital money per job, significantly higher than the state average, but far below the national average of $182.50 per job. By comparison, Raleigh and Austin had more than $500 in venture capital money per job invested in their communities. Clearly, venture capital remains a challenge for our region. And based on this, I'm going to set up my colleague to the right and ask Brian for his thoughts on some of these challenges for our community.
Thank you, David. Just as we mentioned, talent is a fuel for your productivity and growth. Venture capital is very critical for companies that are going to start a new subsidiary, create a business from the research they've undertaken, and we've got some great opportunities with the mix of businesses and research occurring in our community. But David's right, venture capital is a challenge. There are some positive ways we can impact this issue. We have studied other markets, such as Raleigh and Austin, to look at what they are doing to achieve success. Here are 3 things our region should focus on immediately to help move the innovation needle. Number 1, we need to build systems that support and promote innovation. And we must make sure that all the system components are connected and working together. Number 2, we must support angel investor tax incentives to help foster entrepreneurial growth. Legislation was passed at the South Carolina General Assembly on the House side of our legislature last year, but at the last minute it was blocked in the Senate in an attempt to horse trade for private school vouchers. Every person in this room will have the opportunity to communicate with our state legislative delegation and our House and Senate leadership that this is a must for our region and across the state. We must not allow our state legislators to continue to operate in a way that puts critical fuel at risk for the growth of venture capital. We have a coalition of business organizations across the state already working to have this legislation introduced this coming session, and now we must do everything possible to push it forward. Finally, we must develop an expanded pipeline of educated, skilled, and knowledge workers in the science, technology, engineering, and mathematic fields. This directly ties back to things that I just talked about under the Human Capital Index. Recently, I saw a statistic that we all need to consciously think about in this room. It compared 100 graduating U.S. college grads with 100 graduating Chinese college grads. And it looked at, out of the 100, how many people were going into science, technology, and engineering and math. In the United States, 7 of the 100. In China, 62 of the 100. So our ability to focus from the time a child is in kindergarten through the graduation in college and graduate school on encouraging science, technology, engineering, and mathematics study is very, very critical for us as a metro area, a state, and a nation. So that will be a focal point of our future efforts.
Good, thank you, Brian.